Hello and welcome back to our channel. My name is Miriam and I am part of the team here at Canadine. Today's video is all about one of the topics we received the most amount of questions about, and that is temporary resident permits, also known as TRPs. If you've been found criminally inadmissible to Canada, or you're worried that a past conviction may affect your chances of entering the country, you've probably come across the term temporary resident permit. Now, while a TRP allows certain individuals to travel and enter Canada despite being inadmissible, there are many misconceptions about how they work. That's why in today's video, I'm going to be answering the most frequently asked questions about temporary resident permits so that you can better understand the process and what to expect. Our first question is, can I apply for a temporary resident permit while my criminal rehabilitation application is being processed? The answer is yes. Many people assume that once they've submitted a criminal rehabilitation application, they simply have to wait until it's approved before they can travel to Canada. Fortunately, that is not always the case. If you need to travel to Canada before your criminal rehabilitation application is approved, you may apply separately for a temporary resident permit. It's important to understand that these are two different applications serving two different purposes. Criminal rehabilitation, for instance, permanently resolves your criminal inadmissibility if you meet the eligibility criteria. A temporary resident permit, on the other hand, is, you guessed it, a temporary solution that allows you to enter Canada for a specific reason and for a limited period of time. Applying for a TRP while your criminal rehabilitation application is pending can be a great option if you have urgent travel such as business meetings, an important family event, or another compelling reason to visit Canada before your rehabilitation is approved. Keep in mind though that approval is never guaranteed, as immigration officers will still assess individual circumstances and whether your need to enter Canada outweighs any potential risk. The next question is, can a temporary resident permit be renewed? No, and this is one of the biggest misunderstandings people have about temporary resident permits. A temporary resident permit cannot simply be renewed once it expires. Instead, if you need to travel to Canada again after your existing permit has expired, then you will need to submit a brand new TRP application. Again, each TRP application is assessed individually, so receiving a TRP once does not guarantee you will receive it again. Because of this, if you plan on visiting Canada regularly, it is often worth exploring whether you're eligible for criminal rehabilitation instead, as that option provides a permanent solution for your inadmissibility rather than relying on repeated TRP applications. Another common question is, can I appeal a temporary resident permit refusal? The answer is no. There is no formal appeal process if your TRP application is refused. However, that does not mean that you are completely out of alternative options to enter Canada. In many cases, applicants are able to submit a brand new application that addresses the concerns raised in the original decision. This may involve providing stronger supporting documents, correcting any errors or mistakes, offering additional evidence regarding the purpose of your trip, or better demonstrating why your visit to Canada is justified. A stronger application can sometimes make the biggest difference. Can I extend my temporary resident permit if I need to stay in Canada longer? Again, the answer is no. A temporary resident permit cannot be extended, and it is extremely important that you respect the validity period shown on your permit. If you know you'll need additional time in Canada, it is important to plan ahead, because once your TRP expires, you no longer have authorization to remain in the country. If you do, then overstaying your permit has very serious immigration consequences, so it is always best to leave the country before your permit does expire. This leads me to our next question. What happens if my temporary resident permit expires while I'm still in Canada? Piggybacking off of my previous answer, if you remain in Canada once your TRP expires, then you lose your legal status. This can lead to significant consequences, including removal from Canada and making future travel to Canada much more difficult. Canadian immigration authorities take compliance with immigration conditions very seriously. Remaining in Canada after your authorization has expired can negatively affect future applications, whether you're applying for another TRP, criminal rehabilitation, or really any immigration application. With that being said, again, it is very important to take necessary precaution and leave Canada before your permit expires. Another question we receive quite often is, do I need a temporary resident permit to travel through Canada to Alaska? If you are traveling through Canada, the answer is most likely yes. This is because if you're criminally inadmissible and your trip requires you to physically enter Canada, for example, driving through Canada to reach Alaska, or having a layover at a Canadian airport, you'll generally generally need a temporary resident permit before you travel. Even if your only intention is to pass through to Canada to reach Alaska, Canadian border officers can refuse you entry if you have a criminal record and have not resolved your inadmissibility. Finally, the last frequently asked question. Again, if you have any other questions that I have not covered yet in this video, please go ahead and drop them in the comments below. Do I need a temporary resident permit if I'm only staying in Canada for less than 24 hours? Yes, the length of your trip does not determine whether or not you need a temporary resident permit. If you're criminally inadmissible and you're planning to cross the Canada-US border into Canada, even for a very short visit, you'll generally require a valid TRP before entering. So whether you're visiting Canada for a brief business meeting, making a quick stop during a road trip, or only spending a few hours in Canada, criminal inadmissibility rules still apply. Many travelers are surprised to find out that there isn't a minimum amount of time you can spend in Canada without addressing inadmissibility. Again, as I mentioned, even a super short trip still requires proper authorization if you're otherwise inadmissible. There you have it, folks. Those are some of the most common questions we receive regarding temporary resident permits, TRPs. And the most important thing to keep in mind from this whole video is that a temporary resident permit is a temporary solution. Every application is assessed individually. Approvals are discretionary at the discretion of the border officer, and it's essential to understand both the conditions of your permit and your responsibilities while you're in Canada. If you're unsure whether you need a temporary resident permit, whether you qualify for criminal rehabilitation, or what option is best for your situation, speaking with an experienced immigration lawyer such as the ones here at Canada can help you understand the process, avoid unnecessary refusals or delays, and help you submit the strongest application possible. If I didn't answer a question that you had, please leave it in the comments below. Or if you have additional concerns relating to criminal inadmissibility, whether that be TRPs, criminal rehabilitation, or your overall ability to travel to Canada, our team at Canada will be happy to help. You can contact us by filling out the free assessment form that I have linked in the description box below. Once you do that, one of our team members will reach out to you within the same business day. You can also reach us by phone by calling 1-844-774-0700 or by email at help@canadim.com. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, subscribe to our channel for the latest immigration news, and don't forget to turn on our post notifications so that you do not miss any future videos from us. I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.